Well, I wanted to open up and welcome everyone for coming to the 2009 Learning Lunch Series. This one's hosted by the Comox Valley Regional District, and we're leveraging off the series that was done in 2008, hosted by Courtney. So by way of introduction, my name is Kevin Lorette. I'm the General Manager of the Property Services Branch at CVRD. And so before we get going, I'm just going to actually share a story with you to put our Learning Lunch in context, think about as we're going forward. So I've been with the regional district now for the past 8 months, and prior to joining CVRD, I worked with the largest heavy civil construction company in Alaska, and I was managing the international operations for the company, and we had projects in Canada, Kazakhstan, and Russia. And specifically in the Kazakhstan project, we were installing a subsea pipeline 15 kilometers offshore in the Caspian Sea. And in order to do that project, we had to bring specialized equipment, amphibious excavators and trenchers, to enable us to put the pipeline under the seabed. And to bring that equipment into Kazakhstan, there was significant challenges we faced in terms of getting through the process and dedicating the resources to actually get the equipment in country. And there was the whole process that we had to deal with in getting the approvals. One day we would be sitting there with all the approvals and the stamps, and getting your documents stamped in Kazakhstan is huge over there. If you got a stamp, you're moving forward. And so we had everything and we were going forward. But the next day we find that all the approvals were removed and we're back to square one. New people would be introduced into the process, and so it was really challenging to get that equipment in country. And we finally persevered and got the equipment in and completed the project. And then at the completion of the project, it was equally challenging. We had to go through a very similar process to export it. And it's so challenging actually that a majority of the contractors, international contractors working in Kazakhstan, would actually leave the equipment in country. They'd actually build it into the project cost, and they were just going to leave it at the completion. And so once again, we really had to focus on the task and partner with local resources, and we were able to successfully export the equipment back to Alaska. And so the message I wanted to highlight there is we were faced with some significant challenges. We really had to break it down to the process and be task focused, and we were able to overcome those challenges. And when I look at, and it doesn't matter really which company you're working with, you're always going to be faced with challenges, and it's how you deal with those challenges moving forward. So when I joined the regional district, we have 4 regional strategies going on simultaneously. We've got the regional growth strategy, the water supply strategy, sustainability strategy, and the sewer master plan. And they're all going on, and basically all 4 are going to be integrating together. And at the whole core of that is growth. What we're really doing is bringing all these strategies together to manage the growth so that our region moves forward in a sustainable manner, and that we're providing services to the existing and future residents in the valley, water and sewer. And so it's looking at how we manage the growth within the valley. And so in terms of some of the challenges that we're facing, currently within our water, and water is actually a key component to all of the strategies that we're dealing with. But in terms of water, we're dealing with challenges with our water supply source, and how do we manage the impacts of climate change on the supply source, and how do we account for watershed activities like forestry and recreation and development pressures, and what impacts are those going to have on our supply source. And similarly, we're dealing with challenges with respect to our water quality. With the new mandate by VHA with the 4321 drinking water quality standards, we've got challenges on how we're going to meet those standards. You've heard probably some of the options out there. Is the deep water intake the panacea? Is it going to solve our problems? Should we be putting in a filtration plant? Can we actually delay these large capital infrastructure items and enhance our watershed protection so that we can defer the implementation of the infrastructure? And so, we have significant challenges. We're also looking at our growth and how much can the region handle in terms of growth with our existing water supply, and how will that impact the existing residents. And then what type of conservation mechanisms can we put into new projects, and can we actually get it down to the actual user where they can implement and have a behavior modification where they become a lower user of water. So, and then finally, when you're looking at integrated resource recovery strategies, how does you know, our water and wastewater reclamation and reuse tie into all of this? And so we're dealing with some significant challenges on our water, and the way I want to just actually tie into this is that we have some dedicated staff working towards it. We're target focused, and we're actually developing implementation plans to move forward. So we're moving forward much like we did in the Kazakhstan project, and hopefully time will pan out as these implementation projects come forward. So today we're here to initiate a dialogue about collaboration challenge, and when you look around the room, we have a very diverse group of people from local government and stewardship sector and private industry, and we're all here to talk about the challenges that we're being faced with. You know, when you look at the 4 regional strategies that I've mentioned previously, they're all going to be complete in 2010, and so looking at that, that's really going to change the way that we in the valley here and the regional district, how we move forward on issues like water and wastewater and housing and transportation and economic development. So all of these issues are going to be brought up, and hopefully we can have some dialogue and discussion on that today. And really, when you look at it, it comes back to the way I had indicated previously. It's all about managing our growth so that we can move forward in a sustainable manner. And then finally, we'll be talking about the regional team approach. And you know, if you ask what is the regional team approach, it's we need to move beyond the planning stage, and currently we're in the planning stage and developing implementation plans. But once we're there, we need to move beyond that into the action phase, into the implementation phase, and that's not going to be done by one organization. It's going to actually be done by everybody in this room and people that aren't in this room. What it'll look like is we'll be developing policies and creating bylaws and creating new jobs, and people's job functions that we have here will be modified slightly so that everyone's going to actually take a role in implementing these strategies and how they will shape the region going forward. And at the end of the day, if all of the people within the region, the levels of government, the stewardship society, and the private industry, if we're all working together in a regional team approach, it'll be much more effective in achieving our goals than it would be if we were all moving in separate paths. And so that's really what the regional team approach is. And once again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming here today, and I'm going to pass it over to Kim Stevens